There's a phase in every man's life where he loses everyone. His friends disappear, his old self dies, and nobody talks about it. This is that phase.
You wake up one day and realize something's off. Your boys don't text anymore. The group chat's dead. Plans fall through every single time. And at first, you think it's temporary. Maybe everyone's just busy. But then months pass, a year passes. You start seeing them post on social media. They're hanging out, just without you. Here's the thing though, they didn't abandon you. You changed, and change makes people uncomfortable. When you start taking your life seriously, when you stop partying every weekend, when you say no to the bar for the 5th time because you're building something, people notice. They notice you're different, and different feels like judgment to them. Even though you're not judging anyone, you're just on a different path now. But they can't see it that way. Your growth reminds them of their stagnation. So the invites stop coming. The texts slow down. The friendship fades. And you're left wondering if you did something wrong. Drop a comment if you felt this, because I know I'm not alone here.
But losing friends, that's just the surface. The real loneliness comes from losing yourself. The old you dies in this phase, and the new you hasn't fully formed yet. You're in this weird limbo, this in-between state where nothing makes sense. The things that used to excite you don't anymore. The goals you had feel childish now. The person you were feels like a stranger. And you don't know who you're becoming. Some days you wake up motivated, clear vision, ready to conquer. Other days you wake up lost, confused, wondering what the point is. You look in the mirror and barely recognize yourself. This is the loneliest part, because nobody can help you here. Your family doesn't get it. They want the old you back, the predictable one. Your girlfriend or wife might not understand why you're so distant, why you're so in your head. And you can't explain it, because you don't fully understand it yourself. You're shedding an old skin, and that process is painful. It's supposed to be. Have you been through this? Let me know in the comments. What did it feel like for you?
Here's what nobody tells you about this phase. The silence becomes unbearable. You used to have people to call, people to vent to, people who got you. Now, your phone's quiet. Your weekends are empty. Your social life is non-existent. And society tells you this is wrong, that something's broken with you. Everyone's out there living their best life on Instagram, traveling, partying, smiling. Meanwhile, you're alone in your room, working on something nobody sees, building something nobody understands yet. The doubt creeps in hard. Maybe you made a mistake. Maybe you should have just stayed the same. Maybe growth isn't worth this isolation. But here's the truth. The silence isn't a punishment. It's a requirement. You can't build a new version of yourself in a crowded room. You need the space. You need the quiet. The silence forces you to confront yourself, your fears, your insecurities, your real desires. Without distraction, without validation, without an escape route. And that's terrifying, Because most men spend their entire lives running from themselves. They fill the void with noise, friends, parties, relationships, work, anything to avoid being alone with their thoughts. But you can't run anymore. Not in this phase. The silence corners you, and you have two choices: face yourself or break. So, why does this happen? Why does becoming a man require this brutal loneliness? Because boys need validation. Men don't. Think about it. As a boy, you needed approval from your friends, your parents, girls, everyone. Your entire identity was built on what other people thought of you. But to become a man, you have to kill that need. You have to learn to validate yourself, to trust your own judgment, to stand alone if necessary. And the only way to learn that is to actually be alone. This phase strips away everything external, all your safety nets, all your crutches. It forces you to build an internal foundation. Here's what I mean. When your friends are gone, you learn who you are without social proof. When your identity's gone, you learn what you actually value versus what you were told to value. When the silence is deafening, you learn to be comfortable in your own company. This isn't punishment, it's preparation. You're being prepared for the next level of your life, the level where you'll have to make hard decisions, where you'll have to stand alone, where you'll need unshakable self-belief. And you can't develop that in a crowd. Question for you. What's the hardest part of being alone with yourself? Comment below.
But man, the temptation to quit this phase is real. There will be moments where you almost break, where the loneliness feels like too much. You'll think about texting your old friends, going back to old habits, becoming who you used to be. At least then you weren't alone. At least then life felt easier. And I'm not gonna lie to you, some guys do go back. They can't handle the isolation, the uncertainty, the pain of transformation. So they retreat. They convince themselves that growth isn't worth it, that comfort is enough. And you know what? Those guys live fine lives. They're not failures, but they never become who they could have been. They spend the rest of their lives wondering, what if? What if I had pushed through? What if I had kept going? Here's the thing. You already know you can't go back. The old life doesn't fit anymore. You've outgrown it. Going back now would be like trying to squeeze into clothes from middle school. Uncomfortable, impossible, embarrassing. You've seen too much, changed too much, grown too much. The only way out is through. So what happens if you stay? If you push through this lonely phase? You gain something most men never find: self-reliance. Not the fake kind, not the I don't need anyone tough guy act. Real self-reliance, where you're genuinely okay being alone, where your happiness doesn't depend on external circumstances. You stop needing constant validation. Stop needing people to agree with your decisions. You trust yourself, your instincts, your vision. And that changes everything. Suddenly, you're not making decisions based on what others think. You're making them based on what's right for you. You're not chasing approval anymore. You're chasing purpose. You're not afraid of being different because you've already been different. You've already been alone, and you survived. Here's what else happens.
You develop standards, real ones. When you're desperate for connection, you accept anyone, any friend, any relationship, any opportunity. But when you've been alone and found peace there, you become selective. You realize not everyone deserves access to you. Not every friendship is worth maintaining. Not every opportunity is worth taking. You learn to say no and mean it. You learn to protect your energy, your time, your peace. And that's a masculine trait most guys never develop because they never went through the fire. Comment below. What have you gained from your alone time? I'm curious to hear your experiences.
Here's where it gets interesting. After months, maybe years of this lonely phase, something shifts. You stop feeling lonely. Not because people came back, not because you found new friends, but because you changed your relationship with solitude. Loneliness is resisting being alone. Solitude is embracing it. And once you embrace it, everything changes. You start enjoying your own company. You look forward to quiet evenings. You protect your alone time instead of running from it. The silence that used to terrify you now energizes you. And then, this is the wild part, people start appearing again. But different people, better people, people on your level. They're attracted to the version of you that emerged from the fire, the self-assured one, the grounded one. These new connections are deeper, more real, based on who you actually are, not who you pretended to be. And your old friends? Some might come back too, but the dynamic is different now. You're not desperate for their approval. You're not willing to shrink yourself to fit in. So either they meet you at your new level, or they don't. And you're okay with both outcomes. That's the power of this phase. It burns away everything that isn't real. Your fake friendships, your false identity, your need for external validation. What's left is the core of who you are, solid, unshakable, real.
But I need to be honest with you about something. This phase doesn't end cleanly. There's no graduation ceremony, no moment where you suddenly feel complete. Some level of loneliness might always be there. Because once you've grown, once you've evolved, you can't unsee what you've seen. You can't go back to shallow conversations. You can't pretend to care about trivial drama. You can't fake enthusiasm for things that don't matter. And that means you'll always be a bit separate from the crowd. Most people are sleepwalking through life, following the script, doing what they're told. You're awake now, and that's isolating. You'll be at social gatherings feeling like an outsider. You'll scroll through social media feeling disconnected from everyone's priorities. You'll have conversations that feel empty, relationships that feel surface level. And that's the price of consciousness, of growth, of becoming a man. You lose the comfort of fitting in. But here's the thing. You gain something better. You gain yourself,
the real version, the one you were meant to become. And you gain the ability to connect with the few people who are also awake, the ones who've been through their own fire. Those connections are rare, but they're worth more than 1,000 shallow friendships. Real question, would you trade your growth to go back to fitting in? Think about it. Comment your honest answer.
So, if you're in this phase right now, how do you survive it? First, stop fighting it. Stop trying to speed through it or skip it. This is supposed to be hard. It's supposed to hurt. That's how you know it's working. Second, use the time. Don't just sit in the loneliness. Read books, the kind that challenge your thinking. Build skills. Create something. Anything. This quiet period is a gift. You have time and space that most people never get. Don't waste it scrolling. Don't waste it numbing yourself. Third, journal. I know that sounds soft, but trust me. Write down what you're feeling, what you're learning, who you're becoming. When you're in the thick of it, progress feels invisible. But when you look back at your old journal entries, you'll see how far you've come. Fourth, move your body. Lift weights, run, fight, whatever. The physical struggle helps process the mental one, and it builds the discipline you'll need for what's coming. Fifth, be patient with yourself. Some days you'll feel strong, clear, ready. Other days you'll feel weak, lost, ready to quit. Both are normal. Both are part of the process. Don't judge yourself for the hard days. They're necessary. And finally, remember why you started this. You didn't choose growth because it was easy. You chose it because staying the same was killing you. The old life stopped fitting. The old you stopped feeling right. This loneliness is temporary, but regret lasts forever.
Let me tell you what's waiting on the other side of this phase. Clarity about who you are and what you want. Strength, not physical, the kind that comes from surviving something that should have broken you. Standards for yourself, your relationships, your life. Purpose, a real one, not borrowed from society or your parents or social media. And peace, the kind that doesn't depend on circumstances. The men who make it through this phase become different. You can spot them. They move differently. They speak differently. They don't need to prove anything. They're comfortable with silence, comfortable with being misunderstood, comfortable standing alone. And ironically, those are the men everyone wants to be around, because confidence is magnetic. And real confidence only comes from surviving this fire. You can't fake it. You can't shortcut it. You have to go through it. And when you do, when you emerge on the other side, you'll look back at this lonely phase as the best thing that ever happened to you. Not because it felt good, but because it made you who you needed to become.
So, if you're in this phase right now, I need you to hear this. You're not broken. You're not doing it wrong. You're not falling behind. You're exactly where you need to be. This loneliness, it's not a bug, it's a feature. It's the furnace that burns away everything that isn't really you. And yeah, it hurts. It's supposed to.
But pain isn't the same as damage. Pain is often growth in disguise. Every man who's ever become someone worth becoming went through this. They just didn't post about it on Instagram. They didn't make it look easy. They suffered in silence. They doubted themselves. They almost quit. But they didn't. And neither will you. Because you already know you can't go back. The old life is dead. The only direction is forward, through the fire, through the loneliness, through the transformation. And when you make it through, you'll understand why it had to happen this way. You'll understand that the loneliest phase wasn't a mistake, it was preparation. So keep going, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Your future self is counting on you to not give up on him. The man you're becoming is worth the pain you're feeling right now. Trust the process, trust yourself, and trust that this loneliness is temporary. But the man you're becoming, he's permanent. If this resonated with you, drop a comment and let me know where you're at in your journey. And if you know someone going through this phase, send them this video. They need to know they're not alone in feeling alone. I'll see you in the next one.